What's going on, you guys? EPzeronine back here with another video, and the announcement has been made that Big Ramy is now entering the Arnold Classic. Now, this is honestly a big surprise to me, but I think it's a big surprise for everyone. Big Ramy is the last guy anyone would have thought would have jumped in on this show, really, but we may as well just ask the question right now. What are Big Ramy's chances of doing well at this show? Well, actually, you know what? It's Big Ramy, so we need to go a step further. What are Big Ramy's chances of winning this show? I'm going to look at who else is in the lineup in a minute, but just looking at Big Ramy, he has a lot of variables in this show, I think. First off, Big Ramy is just coming off one of his worst showings of his professional career. Not his worst placing, but to drop from first place to fifth place at the Olympia definitely must affect his mental game, at least a little bit. I also think that Ramy's mental game is being affected by the team that he has around him, honestly. I'm of the opinion that Ramy is surrounded by yes men. I mean, look at the homecoming that Ramy had when he returned to Egypt. And look, that has nothing to say about his team, but it does speak to the environment that he's in on a regular basis, He's been treated like a literal rock star since his win in 2020 by the fans and, I feel, by his coaching team. Ramy may have fallen victim to his own success, and the underdog mentality, I think, is where Ramy needs to be again. He had it in 2020. He had it when he came back and shocked everyone. I was actually just chatting with Mark's Max Muscle about this. By the way, you guys got to go and follow Mark's Max Muscle if you're not followed already. But we were talking about how in 2020, you could see it in Big Ramy's face when he was on stage. He was laser focused, and you could tell he suffered to get where he was that year. You couldn't see a stitch of emotion on his face. That's what Ramy really needs again in order to win. He needs to get back to that level of suffering. Now, I'm not getting into the whole nerve damage conversation or tricep atrophy conversation or anything like that. I'll leave that up to Nick Trigili. But I did just hear Fouad Abiad mention, actually, on his channel that Big Ramy is seeing the same doctor that Fouad did. I know Big Ramy's seeing it for disc degeneration and maybe something else, but he is getting these things looked at. Looking at the time between the Olympia and the Arnold, is that enough time for Big Ramy to improve? If we look at Ramy's showing at the Olympia, his conditioning was actually pretty good. And pretty much everyone said that the second Ramy walked out on stage during the prejudging, that he was definitely the winner. That opinion did change pretty quick when he started posing, but even I thought initially that it was Big Ramy's show to win. So conditioning, I think we know it should be decent for Ramy. He should be on point there. So what was he missing at the Olympia otherwise? I think he was missing some fullness. I really think that he was just missing that pop to the muscles. Yes, definitely it was most visible from the back and in the triceps, but if he brings up that fullness and keeps that thin skin and is 5% better in conditioning than what he was at the Olympia, I mean, who knows what we're going to see. We would all be fools to completely count out Big Ramy. But, on the flip side, if Big Ramy does come in and he is notably off, or he seems to have the same problems, I think Big Ramy has more to lose in this than he has to gain. And that's where I was really surprised that he was going to do the show. If Big Ramy places poorly, Ramy's stock is going to drop way down, and we know how important that stock is in this day and age. That's why it's so surprising that he decided to jump in on this show to me. It can't just be for the money, But anyway, I'm sure we'll see more updates from Big Ramy leading up to this show, and this show should go better for all the competitors, really. These guys won't have to worry, presumably, about being on stage past, their usual bedtimes, frankly, and I've heard that the Arnold treats their athletes really well backstage, so any unnecessary stress or nerves or being, pissed off at the establishment shouldn't be factors in this case. Either way, Ramy entering the show does make it more exciting. I'm looking forward to Ramy's update pictures especially. And listen, Dennis James, don't even bother getting involved if you won't stand behind your guy after the show, no matter what his placings are. I just wanted to throw that in there. So, now that Big Ramy is in, if we look at who else is in the lineup and what they look like right now, you have Nick Walker, who looks like he may be as good or better than he was at the Olympia, judging by his recent set of update pictures. You have Samson Dauda, who I think has a shot at looking better than he did at the Olympia, depending on how far Milos can push him. And then you have the wild card of all wild cards, Shaun Clarida, who we know is going to come in peeled. But obviously is going to be much smaller in stature than Nick, Ramy, and Samson, and Andrew Jacked. I'll get to Andrew in a minute. I watched a recent leg training video that Shaun released, and oh man, I assume that most IFBB pros are strong. I mean, most of them are, but especially for his size, Shaun is crazy strong. Not just his size, but I mean, what does Shaun weigh, like 180 pounds? He's moving some massive weight, and he's massively driven to do well in this show. You know, you can tell that he's coming for the win. Can he pull off the victory and live up to his name of the Giant Killer yet again? Well, he's got a shot, make no mistake. Now, another guy who has a shot at doing very, very well at this upcoming Arnold Classic, Andrew Jacked. Andrew Jacked pairing up with Chris Aceto and Chris Psycho Lewis, I think is going to make the difference for him.
He's the best pure bodybuilder I think we've seen, like pure, just crazy genetics since Phil. All the components are there to be really, really dangerous immediately.
Chris Aceto currently holds a record of 111 pro wins while coaching 41 different athletes. I mean, look, that's got to be some sort of world record right there. But both Chris and Chris are the team that coached Shaun Roden to his Olympia victory in 2018. May Shaun rest in peace. Andrew, I think, is someone of a similar stature as Shaun Roden, so this just might translate over to being a winning team for Andrew. I think Andrew is a solid top 5 or top 6 guy at the Arnold, but again, it's going to come down to what improvements can be made between the Olympia and the Arnold. Andrew not having bronchitis and not being on antibiotics, I think, is going to make a big difference, obviously, but Andrew has said in the past that his appetite is not the biggest out there. He actually said that during an interview with Ronnie Coleman.
My stomach is so small and sensitive, and I have a high level of allergies, especially to food.
You know, you have to get big, you have to eat big.
I know.
Hopefully, Chris Aceto can curve that for him. I have no doubt that Chris Psycho Lewis can train him properly, but will Chris Aceto have enough time to get to know Andrew's body well enough to peak him for 100% at the Arnold? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Anyway, that's it for me in this video, you guys. Let me know what you think. Is Ramy making the right decision in joining this stacked Arnold lineup, or is he making the biggest mistake of his career? Shaun Clarida now has yet another giant to slay. Can he do it again? Will Chris Aceto dial in Andrew Jacked for his best showing to date? Thanks for tuning into EP09. Be sure to like and subscribe.